Rahul Gandhi is now officially the leader of the opposition in a moment that came as a relief after a vitriolic campaign. Rahul Gandhi shook hands with the Prime Minister, and it really did come as a respite from a very, very bitter election campaign. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, we'll be looking at Rahul Gandhi's decision to officially take on the role of the leader of opposition. In many ways, some would say that Rahul Gandhi has declared his gambit for 2029 in 2024. This will be his first constitutional role, first such role, and all eyes will be on him to see how he performs. Today, there was a moment of rare conviviality between him and the Prime Minister after the Speaker's election. Both leaders walked up to the podium together as Mr. Om Birla was congratulated. Both Prime Minister Modi and Rahul Gandhi shook hands with him and also with each other in what can only be called a viral and a rare moment after the bitter face-offs between them. But Rahul Gandhi's decision to take on the mantle of leader of opposition will inevitably lead to a debate on brand Rahul Gandhi versus brand Narendra Modi. The constitution, of course, has become a major protagonist now in Parliament. Rahul Gandhi waved the constitution at the Prime Minister as he took his oath. He also held it up as he took his own oath. And we've seen the constitution being a sort of motif for the opposition leaders. The Prime Minister also made it a point to bow before the constitution. But on the program today, we'll ask this question. Was it Rahul Gandhi that evolved, or did his critics get it wrong? Either way, we're set for some very, very interesting years, and some would say months ahead, because there are those who believe that anything can happen in a government where the BJP has fallen below majority. To look at the shifting sands of politics with Mr. Gandhi and the Prime Minister now standing as peers on either side of the trenches, let me introduce our guests on the program today. Salman Soz, senior leader of the Congress, is with us. Welcome. And it's been a while, Salman, so welcome back to the program. Shahid Siddiqui is with us. Shahid Siddiqui, of course, is someone who's been in politics and in media, so it's good to have someone as experienced as him with us. We're also joined by Ujjwal Deepak, spokesperson and leader of the BJP. Namaskar. And also Sugata Srinivasraju, author and veteran journalist who, in fact, has recently published a book on Rahul Gandhi, talking about Rahul Gandhi's quote-unquote strange burdens. Welcome everybody to the program. I think it's befitting if I start by playing out for you that clip that's caught everybody's attention. There was a time when everything seemed so bitter, so personal, that one thought this couldn't happen. Is this pointing to the new political reality of a much more equal parliament where the opposition also has a voice? Well, this is what happened today, right after the Speaker's election. Take a look.
आपके चेयर है, आप संभालें प्लीज।
So that was quite a moment. And let me start with you, Salman Soz. Would you have ever imagined a moment like that in the last term of Parliament, where we actually saw suspensions of many opposition members of Parliament? What did you make of that moment?
Barkha, I thought it was a nice moment. I think after a long time, but I think that this is day one. There's a long way to go. We have many serious issues that confront the country, and the people who've been chosen to represent people, they have a job to do. This moment, which is welcome, it does not, of course, it stands on its own, and I think that's very good. Rahulji went, and he's the leader of the opposition. He congratulated the speaker as he should. He shook hands with the prime minister as he should. Now we have to get down to business, and the people's business comes first for us. And one of the most important things we have to do is not just one, obviously, we want to make sure that we defend the constitution, because that is, I think, the primary mandate for the opposition that the people have given. On the other hand, we have many significant issues, whether it's jobs for young people. Now you know what happened with the NEET and examinations and all these other things. We have farmers' issues. We have Agniveer. We have criminal law. The criminal procedure has been changed, and we need to roll that back. There are many significant issues in front of the country. That is what we've been sent for. But I think the speaker, in my view, and many people believe that he used excessive kind of punishments in the last term. I mean, after all, 100 MPs were suspended under his watch. Never before had something like that happened in Parliament. But I hope the government and the speaker takes note that this time the opposition is going to be speaking for almost as many people as the NDA, and that they must respect the people of the country. And I hope, and we will too. It's ultimately, it's a give and take.
So it's interesting that you talk about the role of the speaker, because this was actually the first point of debate between the Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi. Maybe it wasn't intended to be that, but it ended up being that. And let me just play that clip out for you, because Salman, you brought it up. First, the Prime Minister congratulating the Speaker, and then how Rahul Gandhi responds. So first, let's take a look at what Mr. Modi said. Take a look.
संसद की कार्यवाही, जवाबदेही और आचरण हमारे देशवासियों के मन में लोकतंत्र के प्रति जो उनकी निष्ठा है उसको और अधिक मजबूत बनाता है। आपके मार्गदर्शन में 17वीं लोकसभा, उसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी 25 साल के हाईएस्ट लेवल पर 97% रही, और इसके लिए सब माननीय सदस्य तो अभिनंदन के अधिकारी हैं, लेकिन आप विशेष अभिनंदन के अधिकारी हैं।
So as the Prime Minister spoke about the productivity on Mr. Om Birla's watch, Rahul Gandhi did retaliate, and this is his first public comments as leader of the opposition on the floor of the House. So it's important what he said. It will set the tone for the rest of our conversation. So let's take a look.
Speaker, sir, the question is not how efficiently the House is run. The question is how much of India's voice is being allowed to be heard in this House. So the idea, Speaker, sir, the idea that you can run the House efficiently by silencing the voice of the opposition is a non-democratic idea. And this election has shown that the people of India expect the opposition to defend the constitution, the Samvidhan of this country.
All right, let's get the debate going. Salman, very brief comment from you, and then I'll open it up. So this was Mr. Gandhi's first comments as LOP. What kind of parliament session are we looking ahead at?
No. I think what we're looking at is there are different perspectives. The ruling party has its own perspective, and the Prime Minister seemed to indicate that we really had a great and effective and efficient parliament last time. So basically, suspend 100 MPs, and you can have a quiet time in parliament. And Rahul Gandhi basically said that is not efficiency is not what we are after. What we are after is that the people of the country have sent these representatives to debate the big issues of our time, and voices of the people of the country must be heard through their representatives, whether they're in the ruling benches, treasury benches, or whether they're in the opposition benches. That, I think Rahulji said it, to my mind, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think efficiency is what matters. I hope the Prime Minister understands that.
Let me bring in now Ujjwal, Deepak of the BJP. The BJP can no longer make fun of Rahul Gandhi. The Prime Minister appeared to take him seriously. Will the BJP fall in line and take the cue from their leader?
Barkha, first of all, congratulations to Mr. Gandhi. For the first time ever in his political career, he'll be behaving in a serious role. I hope he stays there for a longer time, at least for 20 years now. That's what you all have been wanting, that there is an opposition in place. So for the last 10 years, no party could qualify for even being an opposition party in the parliament. I hope Mr. Rahul Gandhi takes it seriously. The problem is that he again didn't want this job. He didn't want to take up this job. That was visible in his initial reluctance to take up this job. Unfortunately, he'll be again doing the job which he does not want to do. But fortunately, he'll be again doing a job which he loves to do: oppose, question, disrupt, disturb, spread misinformation. So if you look at Mr. Rahul Gandhi's career, he has no role to play in India's development. All what he has done in the last 20, 25 years of his political career is just question and audit other people's jobs. And that's what LOP's job is, right? So right now also, when you heard his statement, he doesn't believe in efficiency of the parliament. So by efficiency of the parliament, and that was a very valid statement by the Speaker of the House, that in efficiency, the voice of the opposition is already included, right? But Mr. Gandhi is just interested in questioning and auditing others' jobs. And that's why I said he now needs to be more serious in his job.
Okay,
I hope he does. I hope. Just 1 second, Barkha. I hope he doesn't wink in the parliament anymore. He attends more sessions of the parliament. His past records tell everybody that he has not been interested in attending the sessions of parliament. But as a leader of parliament, he will be bound to attend more sessions. I hope he does that, and he does the job.
I think that last point is a good point, and we looked up the data from PRS Legislative, and I'm sure Salman will want to respond to this. As LOP, Rahul Gandhi will have to spend more time in Parliament. In the last Lok Sabha, his attendance was 51% compared to the national average of 79%. This is from PRS Legislative. And Salman, I will let you respond to that as we go along. But Shahid Siddiqui, क्या बदलेगा अब? कि कुछ बदल चुका है. The images we saw of the Prime Minister, Mr. Gandhi, shaking hands, इकट्ठे जा रहे हैं, stage पे आप भी देख रहे हैं. मुझे तो नहीं लगता कि in the last term we would have thought that this moment was possible. I don't think when we saw the tenor of the campaign, we would have thought that this moment was possible. The kind of adversarial energy between the two sides felt very personal, and even the RSS chief pointed out that the maryada of the campaign had not been kept. What do you make of these images that we're seeing out of Parliament today, Shahid bhai? Shahid bhai, I can't hear you. Shahid bhai, can you unmute yourself? I can't hear you, Shahid bhai. I can't. You're muted at your side. If you can unmute yourself. Okay, I'll just get Sugata in the meantime because we can't hear you at all. Sugata, just jump right in. Yeah. Sugata.
Thank you, Barkha. I mean, the one thing that stood out for me in today's, thing in Parliament is, besides, what has already been mentioned, that is the shaking of hands between Prime Minister Modi and Rahul Gandhi, is that Mr. Rahul Gandhi's attire has changed. He is not wearing his white T-shirt today. He was wearing his kurta pajama. So that is significant in many ways, because he is now playing a very important and a very serious role. And I'm really glad that he has accepted the role, because, as I sort of mentioned in my book, he has had a very troubling relationship with power. So this signifies a certain kind of reconciliation with power for me. So it's a very interesting moment for him as a person, as a politician, and it signifies something else for Indian democracy as well, because now he cannot just be a political activist that he has been. He has to play a more pragmatic role, in the previous, tenures that he has been in Parliament, he has taken a very hard ethical line. Probably that is because the numbers were very small, and he had to make himself heard, and therefore he took, a kind of he put himself on a certain kind of ethical pedestal, and all the time when he spoke, he sort of tried to speak down, talk down, and say that I am good and you are bad. And that is the moment that we saw in the previous Parliament when he went and hugged Mr. Modi. So from that to now, where he's come back to his kurta pajama, I think he'll have to be more pragmatic. And if you talk in terms of American democracy, there's a certain kind of deal making that he'll have to sort of become acquainted with. So Parliament cannot function without the LOP playing a certain pragmatic role. He's also, if you listen to what he spoke today, Rahul Gandhi is trying to play a classic textbook opposition leaders kind of role. So it's very interesting that he is trying to push back on day one, and that is what opposition leaders do. So we don't have to grudge him about that or find fault with him. I think that's perfectly all right. But he'll have to start looking more pragmatic than the kind of person that he has been. He has to sort of reconcile with a lot of things. He'll have to sort of come to terms with a lot of parliamentary procedure. There's a lot of method involved in being a good parliamentarian.
What did you think about him waiving the constitution at the Prime Minister while the Prime Minister was taking oath? Because that generated a lot of debate yesterday.
That was, my personal reaction to that was, I think he was overdoing it a little, because now there's a bit of confusion as to who is violating the constitution, because the Prime Minister is trying to push back by reminding us all about what happened 49 years ago with the emergency. And then there is Rahul Gandhi who's trying to reclaim the constitution in a certain way. And it's almost an activist mode. So there has to be some kind of a middle path, which we generally speak in American terms as deal making, as I said. After the 70s in American politics, you don't see liberals, you don't see moderates, you don't see conservatives on one side. It is harder and polarized kind of a situation. And I think Indian politics has entered that kind of a bend. And it's very, very important that there are people who talk to each other on either side of the aisle and bring things together. So I think that will be the next big moment that we have to watch.
Yeah, you've raised
very interesting to watch. Yeah.
You've raised an interesting point about the emergency being referenced. Let me just mute you. Yeah. You made an interesting point about the emergency being referenced by the speaker today. And when the speaker did it, the opposition actually protested. The Doordarshan didn't cut to the opposition when that was happening, but you could hear them. Later, Shashi Tharoor outside said that the speaker did this without any prior discussion. Let me just bring in Shahid, and we'll actually talk a little bit about what happened with respect to the emergency, the fact that Mr. Modi is pushing a hard line on that, also bowing before the constitution. The constitution has become now, as I said, a protagonist in Parliament. Shahid Siddiqui, please go ahead.
Yeah. Your question, Barkha? I didn't get your question.
I'm saying that Sugata says that maybe Rahul Gandhi is overdoing the waiving of the constitution, because now Mr. Modi is also trying to invoke emergency and saying, look, Congress violated the constitution. That was one question. And when we lost you, the question I was asking was the images we saw of Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi today. Did you ever think 5 months ago that you would see those images? Shahid bhai, go ahead.
Things have changed for everybody. For Mr. Narendra Modi, for Rahul Gandhi, for the BJP, and for the opposition. So everybody will have to readjust to this new situation. India, it's a different parliament, it's a different India, and everybody will have to be much more mature about dealing with each other. And that we saw today when they shook hands, when they came together. I think I agree that there was no need for Rahul Gandhi to raise the constitution when Mr. Modi was taking oath. There was no need for that. So, but what I have seen is that in last, say, a few years, Rahul Gandhi has matured. Rahul Gandhi has become much more responsible, and I think it will be a very different Rahul Gandhi which we'll see in the parliament. But we'll also have to see a different Modi. If the Mr. Modi doesn't change from 2019, 2014 Modi, then there will be a problem. Then there'll be much more confrontation. So it has to be both ways. ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती, ताली दो हाथ से बजती है. So if the attitude of the ruling party is to get over everything and roll over the opposition, then that will not be allowed, that will not be accepted, and the opposition will have to make much more noise. And as my friend said, that the role of the opposition, they will be questioning. Of course, they will be questioning. It's their job in a democracy. If they don't question in democracy, if they don't raise their voice in a democracy, if they don't raise the issues, then they are not doing their job properly. And we expect Rahul Gandhi and other opposition leaders to do that. And we also expect the speaker to change a bit. Speaker, I'm sorry to say that Speaker in the past, I have seen a lot of parliament, both as a parliamentarian and both as a journalist for the last 50 years, that the way Mr. Birla has been dealing with the members, I think is not a very, very healthy situation. So he'll have to change much more, and there has to be a much better, much healthier, much positive house today, and in the interest of the country, in the interest of what we want to do and the way we want to grow. So it has to be a very, very different situation now.
Okay, let me bring in Salman. Salman, let's start with the question raised by Sugata, that there is now a pushback from the BJP over the idea of the opposition being the defenders of the constitution. Today, for the last 2 days, we have seen the Prime Minister personally kind of tweeting about the emergency. Today, there was a resolution. Mr. Birla got up. The opposition protested. Why did the opposition protest? I mean, we all agree the emergency was wrong. And many of the Congress leaders today call today's age an undeclared emergency. Do you think the parallel holds? Because if this was an undeclared emergency, would Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi be walking up to the stage together, congratulating the speaker?
Barkha, like I said, today, one day is just one day. This is the start of new parliament. And we all want it to start with as much civility as possible, but there is no doubt that we have an undeclared emergency in this country. For the longest time now, for the last 10 years, we've been dealing with issue after issue. I mean, you talk about the election commission, how the government decided at the last moment to basically appoint the election commission of its choice. You talk about what has happened to much of the media, not yours, I'm happy to report, but much of the media is now effectively under government control. They actually get messages on WhatsApp about what discussions to hold and and how to go about setting the government's narrative. You have public institutions, taxpayer-funded institutions, which you and I and others on this panel, we pay taxes, and those institutions have effectively become frontal organizations of the BJP. So there's a lot that has gone wrong, but I'm happy to say that we fought. We fought hard, and the people actually stood with us. And in this fight about the emergency type situation that we face, I think on the constitution, the people have spoken. They've spoken. They stand with us. They stand with the India Alliance. There is no question about that.
Why did the opposition disagree with the speaker's resolution on the emergency in parliament today?
I will. Yeah. Because I will tell you what this is essentially the speaker speaking the language of the government. The speaker is not government. The speaker is not BJP. Mr. Om Birla is not part of the BJP any longer. He is the speaker of parliament, of all MPs, of all voices of India. When the speaker starts doing things that are clearly engineered by the BJP, then he's already in some way showing us his hand. We hope that he behaves with much more even-handedness in this parliament, but we will be prepared to basically push back and push back hard, because millions, hundreds of millions of Indians are with us. They've sent us to fight for what they believe to be right, for their issues, and nobody, not the Prime Minister, not the BJP, not the RSS, and not the Speaker can stop us from representing the people of this country.
Okay. Before I get Ujjwal, Deepak in, Sugata, since you raised this point and you said maybe, there's an excessive use of the constitution, worked in the campaign as a symbolism, it triggered a conversation around whether the quota policy would be changed, Dalits in particular, that vote got divided. You hear Salman say that if the speaker is going to basically recite the script of the government, the opposition isn't going to take part in it. What do you think is going to be Rahul Gandhi's biggest challenge now as he takes on the helm of the LOP?
Barkha, I mean, it's perfectly all right to sort of speak about the constitution. Nobody can stop anybody to speak about the constitution because that's at the absolute center of our democracy. So that's fine. But what was a little excessive was to sort of keep waving it when the Prime Minister was taking his oath. So that was a bit of an excess. And also the opposition should not be cagey if the emergency is mentioned, because that was a really dark moment in Indian history, modern Indian history. And Mrs. Gandhi downwards have all accepted and regretted what happened at that point of time. I don't know, I mean, I may be right or wrong, but there was a resolution of the Congress party at some point which said that, what happened during the emergency was wrong. So when it has been accepted and people have moved on, I don't think they have to really try to sort of be very, very defensive about the emergency being raised. In fact, they should step in and say, yes, that was a mistake, and we should ensure that nothing happens like that, or in a clandestine form, that is the undeclared form. So I think they should sort of be sportive about it, talk about it more, so that the opposition, so that the ruling party is left with nothing to speak about.
In fact,
to be fair, during the election campaign, when this whole issue came about, when they said that if they get 400 plus, they will change the constitution. I think Mr. Modi, on many occasions, said that even if Ambedkar were to come alive and ask us to change the constitution, I don't think we are going to do that. So I think he had made a fair point. But, Rahul Gandhi has built his politics around it. It's fair. It's nobody can fault that thing. But, there are things beyond that is what is important.
Okay, we're getting some comments in our audience stream, and I'm just going to take some of them. We have Prasad saying, just like how the world collectively condemned World War II in Normandy, as well as the Holocaust, Parliament, Congress included, should observe this dark day. And so I will get Salman to respond to that. Another person says, Subha says, I fear with this wrong sense of victory by Congress, they might just oppose anything the government brings to the table. They should have sensible discussions with the government. I do want to bring this to Ujjwal, but I think I must give Salman a chance to respond. If I'm not wrong, in 2021, Rahul Gandhi himself is on record saying the emergency was wrong. The Chief Justice of India, whose father took the wrong decision, during emergency, has said his own father was wrong. So, isn't there a consensus on emergency? Why are we still debating it, Salman?
No, we're not debating it. I think it is clear. I know the emergency was wrong. You know the emergency was wrong. And it is nobody in the Congress party saying bring back the emergency. In fact, the Congress party has done everything possible for the last 10 years to make sure that we don't have another emergency in this country, undeclared or declared. So we're fighting hard. And in fact, in this election, it was clear that we were fighting with the Constitution in our hands, because we made sure that people of the country understood what changing the Constitution, as BJP's own leadership had said on multiple occasions before the election started, that changing the Constitution could have huge repercussions for people. The most marginalized people in this country would be the most hurt, would be disproportionately hurt. We made the case. The people agreed. And here we are. The Prime Minister can say anything he wants. He can say that the Congress is going to destroy the Constitution, etc. But people don't agree with him. He was forced to bow down to the Constitution, and we'll make sure that his place is at the feet of B.R. Ambedkar and the founders of the Indian nation.
Well, Ujjwal Deepak, some damage was done to the BJP by your own motor mouths, who did talk about 400 par chahiye to change the constitution. I think that's been acknowledged by enough BJP leaders. But I want to pick up what Shahid Siddiqui said. अगर राहुल बदला है तो मोदी जी को भी बदलना होगा. If Rahul Gandhi has matured, then Prime Minister Modi cannot be the Prime Minister of the last 2 terms. Mr. Modi didn't get this far without being pragmatic. Do you expect to see a different Prime Minister?
Yeah, but first of all, to be fair, I'll need some fair amount of time to respond. I have a lot to say. Believe me, I'm just back from an event hosted by our Chief Minister in Chhattisgarh. He hosted a lunch in respect of to facilitate the families of Misabandi families. My father was one of them, my late father. He was in Central Jail, Raipur for around 19 months. So I have somehow felt the pain from the stories my father used to tell me about the pain of Misabandis. Okay. And so what was Misa? And ironically, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav named his daughter Misa, right? Maintenance of Internal Security Act. Now, when Mr. Salman says that the speaker should not be from a BJP engineered narrative, right? So how is this BJP engineered? I would definitely like to ask this question in person to him. There was an incident in history of India, right? A prime minister did that to condemn that incident, just like other things, just like we condemn other important events, in fact, in other parts of the world also. Like that comment of Holocaust, right? In other parliaments, parliaments also, it is condemned, right? That's what our speaker did. What's wrong in that? And I am amazed by the shamelessness of the Congress party and its allies when they take the constitution in their hands and they talk about changing the constitution. Please tell me how many times there have been amendments in the constitution? How many times and who has done that? And let me ask you another question. What do we mean by changing the constitution? Do we actually mean changing the cover or the number of pages or the page numbers or the paragraphs or turning it around? I mean, do people think that a constitution will be changed, its language will be changed? What will be changed?
Okay, let me try and respond to what I think people mean. They mean there is a basic structure doctrine. We have it from the Supreme Court and we all recognize what the basic structure is. Other changes, the country is dynamic, society changes, and you respond to that. Shahid, you were wanting to come in. Please go ahead. Shahid Siddiqui.
Barkha, look, I was in jail during emergency. My father at the age of 80 was in jail during the emergency. He was released twice and he went back to jail writing against the emergency, although he was a congressman all his life. So I have every right to speak about emergency. And Congress was punished severely by the people of this country for what happened during the emergency. And they paid for it. But to remind them constantly after all that is not, I think, correct. If the resolution had to be brought, it had to be brought by agreement with the opposition. They should have taken them into confidence. It shouldn't have been a sudden thing by the speaker. So that was absolutely wrong. That showed that intentions were not very positive for the sake of democracy. Intentions were to push the Congress and because they were raising the issue of the Constitution. Moreover, the issue of the Constitution is not just about amendments. Nobody is against the amendments. Amendments are necessary. Constitution is a living document. It changes constantly. But to change the very fundamentals, that is the secular character, the socialist character, the democratic character of the Constitution, that is really essential. Because word secularism is not required. I agree that it was inserted during emergency because there was no need for it. Because the very fundamental of our constitution is secular. Secular means that the state has to be to move away from faith and religion, has not to take any decision on the basis of any caste, religion, etc., etc. So the very basic character of the constitution is secular. And the BJP, not for the first time, but earlier also, there have been many documents from the Sangh, from the RSS, from the day constitution was introduced, they have been speaking against the constitution, wanting to change it, questioning its very fundamentals, questioning its very basis, and therefore we are all very worried that the constitution is under threat if the BJP gets the is in a position to change its basic character. They may not change the name. I agree that it will never be a Hindu Rashtra. It will always, in the name, it will remain what it is. But to change its character, which was being done in last 10 years on so many ways. And therefore, the worry is very genuine, not just of the Congress party or the opposition, but of the people of this country. And the people of this country have faith in the constitution, because all the Dalits, all the Shudras, all the minorities, all the villagers, all the tribals, all the poor are equal today after thousands of years of being oppressed just because of this constitution. Okay. And therefore it's a Bible, it's a Quran, it's a Gita for every Indian.
Okay, let's come back in concluding remarks to the subject. Rahul Gandhi is leader of opposition. Is it a gambit for the Prime Minister's post in 2029? Now, Salman, I'll start with you. In this campaign, maybe the opposition wasn't certain of how it would do. Certainly the results exceeded possibly your expectations. Rahul Gandhi could have been made the face of the opposition going into this campaign. You all didn't do that. Do we take it now that we are seeing a kind of presidential form of a parliamentary democracy, that Mr. Gandhi is the main individual standing up against Mr. Modi? What happens to the India bloc? Does the India bloc accept Rahul Gandhi as their leader? Could you tell us a little bit about politically how you expect Rahul Gandhi's role to shape up in the run-up to 2029? And, CSDS is a very interesting post-poll survey, which actually shows that while Mr. Modi remains the dominant preference for Prime Minister nationally, and you see those numbers on your screen, in Uttar Pradesh, Rahul Gandhi's ratings have improved, but Mr. Modi is still well ahead. But in Uttar Pradesh, Rahul Gandhi is marginally ahead. He's marginally or 2 points ahead of Mr. Modi in Uttar Pradesh. So what is this? Is this a gambit? Is this an opening statement for 2029? Rahul is LOP?
Barkha, let me just take you back to the elections. It's very interesting that people still don't seem to understand what has really happened in this election. Prime Minister Modi won Varanasi, his own seat. Forget this 240, the BJP got 240, they did not get a majority and all that. Forget all that. But the real story was that the Prime Minister won by a margin in Varanasi that is smaller than the margin by which our worker, senior worker, Kishore Lal Sharma defeated Smriti Irani. That is the big story, that his margin went from 6 lakh plus votes to 1,50,000 votes. That's the biggest story of this election. That means the Prime Minister's credibility with the people in his own constituency and across the country, I think that has suffered. Now, when you talk about this presidential form of politics, this competitive politics between Mr. Modi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I think I can say very clearly, I reject it. We reject it. Why? Because unlike the BJP, unlike the NDA, the Congress party and the India alliance is not about one person. Our alliance, our party is about all of us together. It's about the people of this country. So I think there's a very stark difference between how the BJP and the NDA operate versus how the Congress party and the India alliance operate. We are not going to be about any one person. We're not going to be about Rahul Gandhi. We're not going to be about Mr. Kharge. We're not going to be about Ms. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. We're going to be about all of the people of this country. That's who we are going to be. And we'll employ any strategy we have to. We'll do anything that we have to represent those people. The BJP can continue doing what they did, and they had a scare this time. But if they don't learn the lesson, if they keep putting up a one-man show, it'll be bad for the country, but they can do that. It's their right, and they're welcome to do it, but we will not do it.
But is this a prime ministerial gambit? I mean, do we see now that Rahul Gandhi is effectively... I know it's too early to ask. We just had an election. The next election is maybe 5 years away. Some say earlier. I don't know.
This is not any gambit. This is not any gambit. This is about representing the people of this country and having a leader of the opposition who, in our view, the best suited for that job was Mr. Rahul Gandhi at this point, and that is the person we put forward. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Everyone has reactions. I'll start with Sugata. Sugata, you in your book explored what you thought were some of Mr. Gandhi's paradoxes. Questions are going to ask: did Rahul Gandhi change, or were his critics wrong about him, or a bit of both?
A bit of both, Barkha, because still too very early to say that he has completely changed or transformed. It's too premature to think of him as a prime minister, because, as I told you in the previous interview, when we spoke earlier, that in the context of the Financial Times interview, I think we were talking about that. See, I think it's if Mr. Rahul Gandhi thinks that the election results are a fait accompli, then he is bound to fail, because 99 is still very, very far away from actually getting a majority for the Congress or being a large partner in a coalition or whatever. So he has to build on whatever gains he has made. He has actually
Can I allow Salman a brief interjection? Just a brief interjection, and then I'll let you complete your point. Salman, go ahead.
And I think there is some misunderstanding about the mandate, and I've talked about this in other shows, I guess. Let's face it, Barkha, if the election were held today, I honestly do not believe the BJP would cross 150. I think what happens in politics, and I've been in electoral politics myself, what happens is that people feel that they've got to go with the winner as much as possible. And I think the way the opinion polls had been kind of put together, and I think they were engineered too, a lot of them, that created an environment which was completely different from what was going on the ground. I'm telling you, if elections are held today, BJP is not going to cross 150.
But what do you mean by today? They were just held.
Yes, but exactly.
4 weeks away.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm telling you that people had no idea this election was. People had no idea this election was so close. Once people get to know that there is another big,
okay, understood what you're saying. Understood. That's an interesting point, Sugata. I think there's some truth to it. Sometimes a lot of people don't vote because they say, the result is a foregone conclusion. They don't see the other side as a contender. The argument Salman Soz is making is the moment you're in the game, people take you more seriously. It's automatic. It's a ruthless game, politics. That's the truth of politics. Now go ahead.
So, Barkha, I'm very much with Mr. Salman Soz. I want the Congress to do well, but I don't want the Congress to be overconfident. I really want them to. I want them to think that they have dented the ruling party. They have dented Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and they have to start building from here on, because the Congress is yet to recover its social basis, Barkha. If you see where they have done well, they have done well where their allies have done well. In the states that they themselves rule, Karnataka, Telangana, Himachal, they failed miserably. So, I want the Congress to do well. It's not that I'm trying to deny them the joy of their victory. It's just that I'm trying to tell them, please be sober, please be level-headed. Don't think of this as a fait accompli. Please build on this. Please recover your social basis. Please build your organization. Don't be the 2% party and a 2-seat party in Uttar Pradesh. See, these are things that I think, if you see the level of confidence that the congressmen are exuding, I fear that they will very soon get into a mode of complacency. Without having built an organization, they are bound to fail. And the BJP constantly tries to reform itself. BJP works on its feedback. No, that's the reality. The Congress goes into a slumber very soon. So that is something that I'm trying to point out at. I'm not trying to take away their joy of victory.
Okay. I think those are fair points, and I'll get Salman in his last comments to react to those. Ujjwal, please go ahead. The fact is that the BJP does have to adjust to a new reality. Kiran Rijiju has met with leaders of the opposition. Rajnath Singh has been speaking to Mr. Kharge. We didn't see these kind of outreaches. This is the first evidence of change. And just like there's a health warning from Sugata for the Congress, there's a similar health warning for the BJP. The Congress can't get complacent. The BJP can't carry on as if it's business as usual. There's a lesson for both. Go ahead. Last thoughts.
Barkha, to be honest, to expect that BJP will not change, that's a myth. So don't worry about that. Mr. Modi Mr. Amit Shah, our party president, the whole party organization structure, they're very serious about elections and the government, and you're aware of that, right? First of all, I'd like to complain that you're not being fair today. I've got the least amount of time today to speak. I
No,
find
no,
some comments.
please
I
go ahead.
find
Take your
some
time.
comments by Mr. Salman very funny, and I'll start with this, that the Congress party is not about a person. Yes, it is not about a person. It is only about a family. So look at it. Mr. Sonia Gandhi is a Rajya Sabha member. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is a Lok Sabha member, and Mrs. Priyanka Gandhi is going to be a Lok Sabha member. So why not seat, right? So she's going to contest from that. How is it about one person? It's only about one family. We are still not out of that Rajshahi parampara, and I am amazed about this fascination with Mr. Rahul Gandhi by the media and by the political observers all. So what is Mr. Rahul Gandhi wearing today? A kurta pajama, a change. So as Mr. Modi has always been, saying, how many times will this product be launched? And your tagline says brand Narendra Modi versus brand Rahul Gandhi. I'd like to compare a brand Narendra Modi to iPhone 15 Pro with a Rahul Gandhi, a Chinese assembled phone which does not work on time. You just cannot make calls with that. It will just hang. So that's Mr. Rahul Gandhi for us. How many times will this product be launched? And believe me, 10 more elections will have to happen for Mr. Salman's ambition of making Mr. Rahul Gandhi a prime minister will complete. So telling this that if elections were to happen today, it just happened like 16 days back, right? And I'm glad you said that people said kya fayda. So because of those people, that complacency that Mr. Narendra Modi is going to win, some actual voters did not go to vote and BJP lost in some seats. Believe me. But if an election were to happen today, believe me, we would definitely cross 400 Barkha. And take my word, people made a mistake. People were complacent.
Okay.
They were in a mood that BJP is already coming. Some people didn't go to vote. That's why Congress won at some seats and some other parties.
Now, I hope you feel like I've allowed you to make your point comprehensively. You
Not
made
really, but I don't want to take much of your time. But please
Okay,
go
you
ahead.
can add you can add a comment if you want to, because I do want to start wrapping up. Add a comment if you want to. So you've said, and you've raised a pertinent point. With 3 members of the Gandhi family in Parliament, can the Congress really say we're not about one person? It's a question that Salman does have to answer. Do you have another point to tag on? You've used the phone analogy. Mr. Modi is like an iPhone. Rahul Gandhi is the China-made
15
phone.
Pro. 15 Pro, the latest one. Yeah.
Okay, latest one. Okay. Do you have another point to add on?
Also, I hope that Mr. Rahul Gandhi will tell his whereabouts to the Lok Sabha about when he goes abroad and where he goes and whom does he meet more often, because he is in a responsible position now.
Okay.
And I also think that he'll not make silly mistakes inside the parliament, because he'll be in committees which elects the chief election commissioner. And this committee is formed after BJP came into power, even after a court's verdict. But this committee didn't exist earlier in Congress party's regime, and you're all aware of that, right? You all know how the theses were chosen then and now, right?
Okay. Now I do have to get the others to quickly respond. I'll start with Salman and I'll give Shahid and Sugata quick closing comments. I think there's a pertinent couple of questions. Mr. Gandhi, if Mr. Modi has to change, Mr. Gandhi also has to change. Parliament has not been his main domain necessarily, and the numbers, the attendance, the participation in debates, the PRS data bears that out. One, is he going to be much more focused on Parliament? Two, I think the political question the Congress does have to answer is because we're going to assume that Ms. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is going to win from Wayanad. It's a safe assumption. With 3 members of the Gandhi family in Parliament, can you really say, as you said on this program, we're not about one person? Ujjwal, Deepak says, okay, you're not about one person, you're about one family. What do you say, Salman Soz?
Well, first of all, I would tell my friend from the BJP that comparing the prime minister of the country to an iPhone is probably not a good idea. iPhones the batteries get useless in 2 years and then they're thrown out. So I wouldn't go there. But of course, if the prime minister wants to be compared to an iPhone, all power to them. In terms of Mr. Gandhi now taking on his role as the leader of the opposition, it is a very serious role. But he's been a serious politician for the longest time. It's just that people don't seem to give him any credit. When he was, you talk about his parliamentary attendance record, so to speak. How many times has the prime minister spoken in parliament? How many times did he speak in Gujarat Assembly? How many times did they convene the Gujarat Assembly? Please do check that data. Then you will understand what kind of a parliamentarian you have in the current Prime Minister. So, but you know, when Rahul Gandhi was going from one part of the country to another part of the country, making people aware of what the country faced, you know, that's what he was doing. You know, his activist self, I don't think he's going to give up that activist self, because that's who he has been. That's who he is. He's an activist. He wants to fight for the people of this country, whether it is in Parliament, whether it is outside Parliament. So I have no doubt that he's going to do everything possible to represent the people of this country in his own way.
You didn't answer the dynasty question. The dynasty question.
I will. I'm just saying that whether it's Rahul Gandhi, whether it's Kharge, whether it's everybody else in the India alliance, we're all committed to the people of the country. We made certain promises and we'll uphold them. In terms of this whole dynasty question, I think BJP should not talk about dynasty. I mean, this whole parliament is full of BJP leaders who are sons and daughters of former politicians. So we don't want any lectures from them. Our leaders go to the people of the country and say, we are standing. Do you want us? Do you not want us? Priyanka Gandhi Vadra does not have any automatic birth in Parliament. She has to go. She has to fight. She has to go to Wayanad. And if the people of Wayanad want her, they will elect her. And I have no doubt that they will. Same way, Rahul Gandhi went. He went to Raebareli. He went to Wayanad. He won by almost more than double the margin in both seats. Almost 4 lakh votes in Raebareli. One of the largest margins in Uttar Pradesh, compared to our dear Prime Minister. So no lectures, please. Get on with the people's work. Get on with the big issues.
In a family,
and let's fight for the young people of this country who are being pushed towards hopelessness by this.
Okay. We're really out of time, and Shahid and Sugata have been waiting to speak. So Ujjwal, just one line, please. One line. Yeah, Ujjwal, go ahead. Ujjwal.
Rahul Gandhi made a comment in the Parliament with this sign. He meant the 3 people in the family, right? I believe that, right? Mr. Rahul Gandhi made a sign like this in the Parliament, right, recently. He actually meant 3 people from the family.
Okay.
So that's an absurd answer, believe me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Shahid Siddiqui. The point is, we just lost Sugata there, but Shahid Siddiqui, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, the point I wanted to make was that India alliance is not about Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Gandhi coming together, the leaders coming together. It was possible because the people of this country wanted it. And the people, you must understand, when you talk of a presidential kind of system, India can never have that, because India is too diverse, too different in so many ways. It's not even like UK, you cannot have 2 prime ministerial candidates. You have a Tamil Nadu, you have a Kashmir, you have a Bengal, you have people from different parts, and therefore it will be always represented by a coalition. And if there is no coalition, India is not properly represented. And therefore, BJP will have to be a coalition. If Atalji represented India much more than Mr. Modi did with his 300 plus seats, because India in politically, socially, culturally, in every possible way will be represented not just by a political coalition, but a social coalition, economic coalition, and India has emerged as a coalition. And Rahul Gandhi is not the only leader. Akhilesh Yadav is also a leader. Mamta is also a leader, and there are so many other leaders. And these leaders will make the leadership and will make the future of this country and future of politics in this country. So let's not get confused, and let's not have this middle class, thinking that there are 2 candidates. We must have a candidate against another candidate. No, sir. We don't need a candidate against candidate. We need right kind of leadership in both the parties if this country has to really develop and do things for its common man, not for just the upper level of the elite and the powerful.
That's a good point about India being a coalition and that being reflected really in the verdict of how multi-layered it is and the multi-layered leadership, and not to be reductionist as we in the media often are. Sugata, closing word, please.
I would just like to compliment what Shahid ji said. See, in my book, Barkha, I don't know if you remember, I speak of India as a permanent coalition. I speak about the recommendation that Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya made in 2000 when he reviewed the functioning of the constitution, that any party, any government that is set up should have a 50+1 vote. And India's diversity deserves only a coalition. So I am someone who does not believe in a single party rule for a country as diverse as India. And that's point number one. Point number two is that dynasty, the very idea of dynasty makes me extremely comfortable. We had this debate last time with Tavleen Singh around. And people have now started saying dynastic rule is better than dictatorship. I don't think it's correct. It's a very, very shallow statement to make. India is a very, very big country, and restoration of the Congress, restoration of a certain status quo is not about restoring democracy. Indian democracy has to grow, progress, has to become far more diverse, has to, as Shahid ji said, include far more realities in it. So I don't think the Congress should try and say that if you restore the Congress party, then India is safe. I don't think that argument is correct.
Okay, I think Salman would agree with that this isn't only about the Congress party. So I'm not going to give that back to him. We'll end it there. To Sugata, Srinivasraju, Shahid, Siddiqui, Ujjwal, Deepak, and Salman Soz, thank you. It's been a lively and interesting conversation, and we hope there'll be similarly lively and robust debates inside Parliament. Thank you for joining us, and to our audience, see you tomorrow. Thanks, Azhar. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.